Good morning, Yankees fans. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles. I'm Rubino. I'm here with the usual suspects. We got Uncle Tats and Donald, and it is a gorgeous Monday. However, we've got some controversy. We got some back and forth going on amongst the Yankees fans on the internet. We've got the Jasson Dominguez conversation, a nice 3 games into spring, and we're already having these talks that Jasson Dominguez simply cannot handle left field. A rough day, to say the least, yesterday, losing a ball in the sun, and he had a little bit of a bobble in that first game as well. So not the greatest of starts, I will admit. However, it is 2 games in, but we're having these conversations about Jasson Dominguez already. He's learning a new position. The Yankees want to keep Bellinger in center. They want Dominguez to take to left because obviously Bellinger is better in center, and they have Spencer Jones coming up, all these different factors. But obviously, you can't help but look at those plays and go, oh, are we in for a full season of this? Hopefully things can change. But I'll throw it to you, Donald, first. Did you see those plays, and what were your initial thoughts about the reaction right after we saw that? Everyone just kind of losing their heads about it.
Um, I wasn't overly. I'm not overly concerned yet. I mean, it's very early. We're a couple of days in, but I was actually more concerned with the play in the fourth inning, where he ran the wrong route and then he couldn't track down the fly ball, which was very easy to grab if he ran the right route. So that was more concerning to me than anything because you know what? He's a center fielder and he took a center fielder's route to the ball for the first fly ball, but it got caught in the sun and he's kind of just stood like straight up stationary and it got lost in the sun. It's not good fundamentals. It's not a great look. I'll tell you that. But you know, it is the Florida sun. You can give him a pass for that. The wrong route isn't ideal, but everyone's forgetting one thing. Volpe didn't look too good as the cutoff man either when the ball got lost in the sun. Volpe turned the wrong way, and he had to do a 180-degree turn before throwing. So, I mean, this is just talks about fundamentals once again. I think it's more than just Jasson Dominguez. This is your great manager that we had to rush to extend before there'd be a feeding frenzy like fricking Jaws with chum in the water. We had to get Aaron Boone tied down, even though the fundamentals look exactly the same as they ever have. So, I mean, I don't think it's a great look either. But it is what it is. I honestly, the way I look at this Jasson Dominguez stuff is the Yankees have done everything possible to screw this prospect up even before he's had an opportunity to really spread his wings. Right now, it sounds like I'm being overly critical, but tell me how putting Jasson Dominguez in the middle of the lineup against Tariq Skubal on a 24-hour frickin' play and then go down situation in the middle of the lineup, how that puts him in a position to succeed. How does that help that kid? You know, how does planning him in a position that he's never played before in his life last year help the kid? None of those things help the kid, and these are the kind of things you do not do with a top prospect. You've got to put him in a position where he's confident and comfortable. And the Yankees did the opposite last year. Now, how that's going to change this year? Well, it looks like it's carried over a little bit. It looks like he's nervous again. So I don't think he's comfortable in left field. I don't think that's a big stretch to say, but I don't think it's a huge deal yet. He's working very, very hard with Luis Rojas. Luis Rojas has been drilling him very, very hard this offseason in spring. Yeah, I didn't mean it that way. I meant drilling him hard in the outfield. Drilling him hard in the outfield, and he's really giving him everything that he needs to learn the position on the fly. I hope that's enough. But to be honest, it's going to take these growing pains. It's going to take these things in spring for him to learn. You can't replicate with just first thing in the morning some morning drills actual gameplay does. That's where you really learn. So this is ideal. He's got all spring. I like what I've seen from Aaron Boone in terms of he said it's a teaching moment for him, and you know, Eric Cole said he's got great attention to detail, and he works incredibly hard. So that's all really good things for him. Aaron Boone says that he has absolutely no issue making sure that he has all the time he needs all spring to get left field mastered. And if there's ever a situation where he needs to make a change, if Doug Gibson can play field, he can move over Bellinger to left. So I like that the Yankees haven't put him under any pressure this spring. I don't think they helped him last year, and I do think that's an aspect to it. I really do. Plus, fans getting on him isn't helping either. They kind of need to chill on this. Spring training, you know what I'm saying? We got far bigger issues than Jasson Dominguez. Trust me.
I think the big part of it is to remember he's 22 years old, and there are growing pains. He's learning a new position. It was reported that he was doing a lot of work in the off season, which I think is adding to the frustration and the criticisms because his defense in left field has picked up where it left off at the end of the season. When we saw, the last time we saw him play. So it's like, okay, what improvements have been made? I don't think we're going to be able to see it in 3 games. I think it's going to take time for him to work out the nuances of in-game play to what he's been able to work on. It's when we expect Boone to pamper Dominguez in the media, but when you're getting also the credit for the work you're being put in by someone with Gerrit Cole's stature, I have to kind of sit back and just be a little more patient. I think what the Yankees should do, give him a couple more series and left. That Florida sun could be a bitch, Rob. You know that. And I think it was just pretty much he got a bad read right off the bat. And with the Florida sun, the way it was beaming, he was just never able to find the ball. Is that acceptable? Not when you're a quote unquote professional athlete. You're supposed to be able to anticipate those things. It's not like it was the first ball hit out of the hitting the game. He should have had a better handle of what the sun situation was. But those are things that come in with experience, and he just doesn't have the experience yet and left. So I don't want to get too crazy on it, but I do want to see over the next couple of series some things get buttoned up a little bit, and then maybe they'll have to make a decision to put him maybe for another series, 2-3 series. Let him play center and see if there is a difference there.
Well, there's no series in spring training. You mean games?
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give him a couple days.
But right. No, the whole thing is, while it didn't look good yesterday, it's still his second game of the spring, and he's learning a brand new position. I know you can say it's easy to go from center to left field. It's really not. It's not as easy as people might think it is. But it's going to take time, and patience is a virtue, something that we need to really remember, especially with the guy that has played nothing but center field. So you got to take that into account. He's used to playing center field, and like Donald said, he's taken center field type of routes out there and left. I think we got a little spoiled just from watching a year of good defense because it had been so long since we had a good left fielder. Verdugo's defense was so good last year that we were kind of like, it's got to be like that. That's how you know you got a good defender. But before that, we were having the Willie Calhouns of the world, Aaron Hicks and all that. We were spoiled by Gardner, and then we got spoiled again by that 1 year of Verdugo. So you forget that a lot of players, it is tough to play left field in Yankee Stadium. That's why they were very hesitant to put Soto there. They didn't put him there last year. That's why they didn't want to put Stanton there when they acquired him, although they had no choice because Judge was in right field. So there's a reason why certain players, they don't want to put them in left field, and you keep hearing that. It's difficult to play left field in Yankee Stadium. Hopefully having Bellinger out there with him in center will help him, a guy that can maybe teach him a few things, but nonetheless, it is still very early. So anyone that's kind of given up on the kid, I don't know what you're doing. We're 2 games into the spring. He's just started getting in-game action. let's give it a little bit of time. If this spills over into the regular season, then that's a conversation we probably will have to have, because you don't want to run into those same issues we ran into last year where defense is costing us games. So Aaron Boone did say as well, like, while he's a guy that can learn, they're using it as growing pains and all that, he did say if we had to, they would consider making a switch. So he knows Bellinger can play anywhere, and he would put him in left field if he had to. So I think the Yankees want to avoid what happened last year, but at the same time, you can't give up on a kid 2 games into spring training. It would be a terrible look if you say, oh, he had one bad game, cut the cord, put him back in center where he's comfortable, because then what happens with the next prospect you have to switch positions with? And then you're going to be like, well, what if he doesn't play well in the first game of spring? It's just not everybody's going to take to a new position. We're lucky that Jazz Chisholm took to third base pretty well last year. We're lucky that Peraza took to second and to third the way he did when he first got those shots over there. So Dominguez has never really played there. He played a little bit last year, and he didn't look good in the major league level.
But that's why I'm saying they didn't put him in a position to succeed.
Right.
They just planted him in a position that they never played before. And then that was in the middle of a pennant race. And then so every fly ball that dropped, they were pinpointing him, and it was his fault. That's why I think there's a little bit of psychology to this. Because I think Dominguez can make these plays. I think he can make them in his sleep, but I think it's in his head because he knows that there's a lot of pressure on him. There is no competition in left field. He is the left fielder. If it doesn't work, we're cooked, right, in left field. That's how important it is that he makes this work. And I think he knows that. There's that psychology aspect going, this is my big break. This is my chance. If I screw this up, what's going to happen? Am I going to get moved around? Am I going to end up like Andujar? Am I going to end up like Florial? Am I going to be treated like Peraza? So I think there's how about freaking Clint Frazier, Red Lightning? So there's a lot of pressure on him. You know what I'm saying? Because he's seen what's happened to prospects around him. And so I don't think the Yankees put him in 8 positions to succeed. I really don't.
No, I think the expectations I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think it's the expectations of this prospect may be far greater than what his ability on the field is ready for. Can he get there? I believe so. But it's really, it goes to another thing that Rob said earlier. Patience is a virtue. You need, it's 2 games that he's been in. Let's not, I can't call this guy a bust. There are people already craving, they're begging for them to bring Verdugo back. I saw that online. I'm going, you guys, like, this is what gets me crazy.
No one's doing
about
that.
Yankee fans. We're our own worst enemy. Because we spit out these narratives that really make absolutely no sense. And is it a justifiable? If we're a week away from spring training and he's still on the market and Dominguez just is not cutting it in left field, maybe that's something to explore. But you also could just put Bellinger in left and put Dominguez back in center. Is it the most ideal move? No. But you have to let this kid develop.
Ken's right about this. Just observations. It's more route taking than anything else. He's taking center field routes and left field, and that is partly a problem. Now, there is a possibility that it doesn't work out for him in left field. The reason why I say that is because Trent Grisham is a Gold Glove center fielder, and the Yankees have never once thought about putting him in left field because he can't play left field. It is possible, right? It is possible that you could be a Gold Glove center fielder and not play left field.
True.
It's not beyond the realms of possibility. Rob, what would you say to that?
No, you're right, because I think Grisham's a perfect example, because Boone even said that yesterday during his in-game interview. He said Grisham becomes a factor as a guy that can potentially play some center. You would have thought last year, with the way Verdugo was struggling with the bat, they would have at least explored Grisham in left, and they never did it. That's a Gold Glover, like you said, and they didn't even think once to put him out there. So that's why I keep saying, like, we have to be patient with this, and I know the chat's pretty much agreeing with us. You can't put this all on a 2-game span and go, yeah, he's cooked. He can't play left field because that's a perfect example bringing up Grisham. They didn't put him out there at all last year. That's how difficult it is to play left field in Yankee Stadium. That's why we keep hearing about it. So, yeah, is it possible that he becomes just an average defender out there like it was brought up earlier in the chat? Absolutely. The Yankees just need him to be average. Handle the position and just do what you can with the bat. Do what you do with the bat and we'll be fine. But if he's below average to a point where it's like costing us games and costing us runs and stuff, then yeah, you might have to consider putting Bellinger out there and keeping Dominguez in center field. But again, it doesn't change the fact that those things are still well into the realm of possibility in the future. We don't know what's going to happen 2 days. We don't even know what's going to happen a few hours from now. So we don't know if Dominguez is going to be able to handle left field perfectly. We don't know if he's going to be an absolute dud out there. There's still plenty of time for him to work on things. So while our title is, there is a question mark at the end of it. Is Dominguez defense still questionable? I don't think it is because it's 2 games in. Like you said, Tats, if we're like a week away from the season starting and this is still happening, the Yankees have no choice but to make a switch. Get on top of it before it becomes a problem. Put Bellinger out there in left and put Dominguez back in center field. But you have to give the... No, of course we're giving the kid a chance. I mean...
Yeah.
Ken, I don't know if you missed my opening comments at the start of the show, literally like 15 minutes ago. I literally said, I'm not worried about it. You've got to give him time. You've got to give him the whole spring. He's working incredibly hard. He likes Garrett. Garrett Cole says he likes his work ethic. So I'm not saying don't give him a chance. I'm putting out a possibility that maybe he doesn't gel in left field because we've already seen with Trent Grisham that Trent Grisham is a Gold Glove center fielder. Maybe he's going to be more comfortable in center field, but we have to give him the whole spring to work it out. I don't know if you caught my first comments, Ken, but I'd appreciate it if you did. Instead of saying that, yeah, I'm saying go give up on the kid. I'm not even remotely saying that. In fact, if there's one, as I said, I think I've got 99 problems, and I think Dominguez ain't one. Honestly, I think Dominguez has. I think we've got far bigger issues than anything to do with Jasson Dominguez.
Yeah, he said he missed the opening. Okay, so we get you, Ken. But let's say good morning to the chat, Ken included, of course. David Sobel's in here. He was working in the offseason, David. All offseason we were hearing about Dominguez working in left. It's just, like Donald said earlier, in-game versus practice, 2 completely different things. So it's 2 games into his spring training. Let's be a little more patient. Like I said, like we've been saying for the last 20 minutes now, if this continues by March 20th, then there's a conversation to be had. But it's February 24th. He's 2 games into spring. He's learning a new position basically on the fly. Let's give it a little bit of time. But let's say good morning to the rest of the chat. Drunk Hispanic, give the guy some time. He is still young. Exactly. Joseph Salvatore. We've got Dev Finch. Good morning, Dev. Good morning, Izzy. Good morning, FJ. Good morning to Norman Soto out of the PR. Hey, guys, I think Oswald Peraza could take third base. We're going to get to that in just a moment. We got Joe in the chat. We've got our usual suspects. Jonathan, of course, here bright and early. Nothing else is new. What else is new? Jonathan's in the chat. And Damien's joining in on the chat. So we've spent 20 minutes on Dominguez. I think we can all agree it's still way too early. Let's give it time. Let's wait and see in another few weeks from now before we make it a full assumption on the kid. I think he's gonna be fine. I think he's gonna be fine.
And by the way, he's gonna get plenty of opportunities because teams are gonna be like targeting him. They're gonna be pulling the ball like mad to test this guy out. So he's gonna have plenty of opportunities. And I think it's a confidence thing with Dominguez. I think once he starts making some plays, making some grabs, and I think he will, then he'll start getting some confidence. And then another thing that'll help his confidence is if he starts letting it rip offensively. If he starts banging some shots in the corners and the gaps and then over the wall, then that'll help him as well. I think a lot of this is confidence. The kid is feeling a little bit of pressure. It's a new position for him, and he knows that the position's his, and he wants to do well for his team that has expectations to go well in the playoffs. So he wants to be that guy. There's nothing that I worry about in terms of Dominguez's work ethic. He works incredibly hard. So I think he'll be okay. But I also think there's an element of double standards because, by the way, Anthony Volpe hasn't looked too good either. but no one's talking about Anthony Volpe. So let's give Dominguez a break.
Yeah, I think Volpe get there are players that have come up recently that kind of we overlook or we choose not to point it out. Yeah, Volpe, like you said, his read as the cutoff man was completely off. Yeah, it looked like he didn't know what he was doing either. It was just one of those. It's 3 spring training games. So it's really, as much as it's difficult to really give a solid evaluation on these guys. It's something where you have a fan base that, even though it's the spring, we want to win every game. We want to win every. We want the pitcher to win every battle. With the hitter, we want the hitter to win every battle against the pitcher. This is what this is what we expect. But sometimes it's the spring. You got to curb your expectations and let these guys just grow. They're shaking rust off. Over the last couple of months. You got players that are going into a new position. As much as the Yankees did the right thing by addressing some of the defensive needs, Peraza, playing at third base on the major league level, there's going to be some rust. So he'll have a good game, then he might have a bad game. It's too early to really set a precedent where this guy's going to succeed or this guy's going to fail. It's too early.
And it's spring training for everybody, Volpe included. Not everyone's going to look perfect, but no, I mean, if you're going to say that Dominguez can't play left, then you have to be critical of Volpe.
Yeah.
Right? It has to go both ways. If you're going to be critical of one guy this early, you got to be critical of everybody. That's why you can't jump to conclusions so early in spring training, because there's already people saying Spencer Jones should DH if Stanton has to miss time. No, he shouldn't. No, he shouldn't. Not after one spring home run. We were doing this last year where he couldn't miss a pitch, and people were saying this guy should be up at the major league level, and he ended up having a pretty up and down minor league season. So spring training is not the end all be all for things, especially 2 games in for the guy. We got to remember, while it is spring training, it is still the second game for Dominguez. We have to be patient. However, and Damian, absolutely, you're spot on. However, one guy that I think we can be excited about because his defense has always been pretty good, and he flashed that leather again yesterday, was Oswald Peraza.
My man.
That guy can play third, and if there's a front runner very early on in the spring, I think it has to be him. So, Donald, I know we're all very high on Peraza, but that is your dude.
Yeah, he's my dude, man. I'm rooting for him. I hope he really gets the job cemented at worst as a platoon against lefties, because as I pointed out on my and Rob's show on Saturday, he has an 880 OPS against lefties last year in the minors. That dude rakes against lefty pitching in the minor leagues. So I think that he could be at worst a guy that you stick in there against lefties, because I'll tell you what, he's going to give you defense. His defense is phenomenal. I've always said that his defense is phenomenal. And I'm amazed that the Yankees haven't given him more of an opportunity, considering how phenomenal his glove is. There's no way, there's no metric, there's nothing on earth that can convince me that Peraza has done worse than DJ LeMahieu last year, Oswaldo Cabrera even last year. Peraza can play that position. He can play third. In fact, he can play short. When he got that playoff run for 2 days before the Yankees gave up on him, in the playoffs a couple of years ago, he was making plays left, right, and center at shortstop. And I was like, damn, that is how you play the position. But the Yankees have treated him horribly. If there is an example of how to destroy a prospect, that's what they did with Peraza. It's freaking amazing. It's like textbook how to screw up a prospect. They've done it. Now he's on his final option, and the Yankees have put him in a position where he has to make the team or he's going to get DFA'd. What an awful situation to put yourself in with someone that's good. He's good. I know, and there's some people that are already kind of planting the narrative that he's a quadruple A player. I've not seen any evidence that he's a quadruple A player because we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
How can you say? How do you know? I mean, I'm telling you, if you can hit lefties at an 880 clip, that's a pretty good sign. So, I mean, what was we went through? We went through Oswaldo Cabrera's numbers against lefties last year in the majors, and
They're not good.
it was really bad. It was like DJ LeMahieu numbers last year. So, I mean, you could have a situation where Oswaldo Cabrera plays righties and Peraza plays lefties. That's not a bad situation. I can work with that. So maybe that's what's going to happen because at least you're guaranteed that every single day you're going to get good defense at third base. So I would love Perez to get the job. They need to DFA DJ LeMahieu. DJ has no purpose on this squad if Oswaldo Cabrera makes the team. The other alternative would be you get an upgrade by maybe getting an infielder that can give you a little bit of pop, a little bit more pop at third base and platoon with Peraza. I'm okay with that too. And then Oswaldo Cabrera becomes a utility guy. I'd be okay with that. But again, every scenario points to me DFAing DJ LeMahieu because I don't think that there's any role that he serves on this team. Like, well, what role? As a designated hitter? The guy can't hit.
Not even that. He hasn't even played yet. I mean, I know I know Judge isn't going to play till March 1st and the same for Wells, but those guys at least played last year. DJ barely played and he didn't play well, but I mean, just those clips of batting practice of DJ, you're kind of like, ugh.
He looks
cooked, you know, like, yeah, he looks like he knows it too. Like his comments, like I said the other day, his comments didn't really give us a lot of like confidence that maybe he can turn it around, you know, and the lineup is out for today. I'm going to get to it in a moment, but spoiler alert, DJ's not in it. So it's like the Yankees, I think the Yankees know, even though they've tried to hype up DJ, kind of try to convince themselves, but the Yankees know it's got to be between Cabrera and Peraza because those two give them the best chance to win. They both offer good defense. I think Cabrera's bat against right-handed pitching is still very good enough to platoon. Peraza can do it all. They both offer speed, versatility, athleticism, things that DJ just can't give you at this point. So I think even though it's 4 games in, it's kind of telling that it's been Peraza Cabrera, and we haven't seen DJ just yet. He will get some at-bats, but it's not looking good. If the Yankees are kind of like, you would think the Yankees would want to give him as many at-bats as possible, considering it's an open position. He does.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, David.
DJ LeMahieu, yeah.
Yeah, he looks lost. He looks absolutely lost. But Peraza yesterday didn't have any hits, but, you know, offensively, I think he's going to be just fine. Damian brings up a good point. If he could be a 250, 260 hitter, that's fine. Get on base at the bottom of the order, steal some bags, play good defense. It's kind of all we're asking for at third base because we know we're not going to get the Bregmans of the world. Even Arenado at this point is out of the question. So you just kind of need the third base platoon to be league average with the bat at the very worst and just B+ defenders, which both of them are at third base. So it has to be Cabrera-Peraza platoon, if not Peraza just running away with it.
Yeah, and Rob, before you pull up, go through the lineup, let's just remind everybody, if you're enjoying the conversation, just hit that like button. If you want to support the channel, you can always hit that sub button. If you want to super support the channel, you can always sign up for one of our memberships. As we get into the regular season, we will be having more of member-only conversations and giveaways. So make sure you get on board for that.
Yeah, definitely do that. Hit those thumbs up buttons. Hit that sub button. Join up to the Pinstripe Chronicles because we got some good stuff coming as we get ready for the 2025 season. But today's lineup is out. Ben Rice is leading off and catching. So we're going to have another adventure out there behind the plate. They're going to give him every chance to win that backup catcher job. Cabrera is batting second, playing third. Dominic Smith is in left field, batting third. Pablo Reyes is at second. He's cleaning up. Spencer Jones is starting today. He's in center. Yes. Carrera getting another DH day, so I'm glad to see his bat in there. TJ Rumfield at first base. Roderick Arias is starting and playing shortstop. Very excited to see him. We've got Ismail Mungia. Hope I said that right. He's in right field, batting ninth. And Cookie is on the mound for his spring debut, so very excited to see what Cookie can provide as a potential 6th starter option if the Yankees do eventually move on from Stroman. So that is your starting lineup. Ben Rice, man, Tats, I know the other day, did you see his adventures behind the plate? What did you think about that?
Jury's still out. I don't know what to make of him yet. He spent the whole last season pretty much as the first baseman, the backup. So they took him away from his home for a year. I can't make. I don't think it's fair to make a judgment.
And catcher is difficult to kind of switch away from and then go back to. It's just that this is another issue kind of with the Yankees front office is they never addressed backup catcher.
Yeah.
They traded two of them and never added one. They traded Trevino and then they traded Narvaez for some reason and they never got a backup catcher. This is kind of
So Trevino, who is the worst arm? It's a tough one, bro.
Yeah.
It's a battle. It's a battle to the death.
Good to see Cold Italian Pizza in the chat. Good morning to you. So yeah, I think you're right. If we're going to be very patient with Dominguez and left, we kind of have to be patient with Rice going back to catching.
Yeah.
It's just, it seems like right now, the backup catcher job can go to anybody. Escara seems to be getting a lot of the talk because he used to be like an Uber driver like a year ago. So now he has a chance to win that backup catcher job. That'd be cool. It'd be a cool story.
Yeah.
I think the Yankees would prefer it to be Ben Rice to get his bat in there in case Stanton does have to miss time. But if that's the case, you can just DH him. I just don't know if they want to carry technically three catchers on the opening day roster. That's why I'm happy to see a lot of Pereira DHing. He's working his way back from that elbow injury, so he's not going to play a lot of defense until like midseason, but the kid can hit. We can't, like last year, he was raking before he got hurt, and he was playing through the injury in 23. That's why when he came up, he wasn't very good, but I don't want to forget about the prospect because he was like a top 5 guy for us as well. He was right below Dominguez and Jones in terms of our outfield guys. I think Pereira has a really good chance to potentially be the DH if Stanton has to miss time.
I think the Yankees like Jackson. Alex Jackson is the backup catcher right now, but if you guys want a bad bat, Jackson's bat is horrible. Not even like close to league average. I don't even think he would even hit in the minors. Like that, his bat is atrocious. But he's a good defender, really good defensive catcher. I think the Yankees will probably edge towards that. But I'm more concerned about the backup catcher position than the Yankees are. I'm not quite sure why they're so confident. I know that they have really good. They've got a really good coach in Tanner Swanson. I think he's an excellent coach of catchers. But because just look at the work that he did with Austin Wells. But I'll tell you what,
a lot of them this year.
That backup, he's got some work to do now because Ben Rice is a horrible, horrible catcher. That's why he was playing first base, and I would prefer to see him in first base than I would catcher. He's a very mediocre receiver of the ball, and his arm is atrocious. You already saw in his first start at catcher, teams were running like mad on him in just 2 innings. So I think that's the situation we're in. Yeah, the kid we got from the Reds, Ken, that was Jackson I'm referring to. I think that's who they like because he's got such a good glove, but his bat is bad. And then in this situation with Ben Rice, his bat is good, but he's a horrible catcher. So not ideal. But again, this is spring. This is good. You're getting in kind of. I can see what they're doing because you want to make sure that in an emergency, like for instance, if Ben Rice is your penciled in as your backup first baseman, in an emergency, you know that he can step in as like a third catcher on the roster. That's not a bad idea. I don't blame them for trying this, but I really hope we don't see too much of Ben Rice at catcher because he can't play.
Yeah, no, I think because they took him off of catcher last year, I think the leash on him should be a little shorter than what we have for Peraza or Dominguez or any of these other kids that we're working out. That being said, I think that I like that they're putting him back in that position so quickly to see if, okay, was that just some rust? Does he need to just work things out? What adjustments has he made since his previous time behind the plate, behind the dish? So if we're seeing the same thing again, where it's rinse and repeat, I think that's going to get them to back off from using him as a backup or third catcher.
And his arm has always been
Suspect.
Yeah, it's never really been good. That's why he moved to first base. Like every time you hear about a catcher, oh, is he going to be able to do it at the major league level? They always say a switch to first base. They said the same thing about Austin Wells a few years ago. That's why Donald brings up a great point about Swanson. And Troy, that's a great point. There's only so much patience to go around. They should have gotten a backup catcher. I know Alex Jackson can technically be that guy because Ken brings up a good point if he plays once a week. But Austin Wells last year with that increased workload, and once he got hit by that pitch, his production just dropped. So I don't know if we can expect, if Wells plays like 120 games, he's going to be fine. That's why they're sitting him. That's why he's kind of resting to or start out the spring because of that increased workload last year. He wasn't used to it. So maybe this year will be a different story, but catcher is such a tricky position that not every team goes with one guy, especially the Yankees. They've been going platoon the last few years. I know Wells is the far better glove, the far better arm, the far better bat than anybody we have right now at that position, but it doesn't mean he's going to be able to play 5 straight days. The Yankees just don't do that with catchers. Yeah. And he had to play every game in the playoffs, basically every game of the second half, and it took a toll on him. So you got to hope that you can get one of these guys. If Alex Jackson could just be slightly better offensively to where he's not a completely lost cause and just be good with the glove, then I guess that's ideal. That's why I did not like the Narvaez trade. Like, trade Trevino, fine. But why did you trade Narvaez?
Yeah, that was premature.
Yeah, it seemed like a rush. I know they got a young, exciting arm, but they have several of those guys in their minor league system already. I just felt like it was unnecessary, especially if you knew you had a trade in place to get Trevino out. You should have kept Narvaez. I know they have Escara, they have Ben Rice technically. Jesus Rodriguez is another guy in the 40-man roster, but Narvaez was always known as, like, his ceiling was always like backup MLB catcher. It was never starter, and that's exactly what they needed when they traded Trevino. You could have had one for very cheap, and they moved him, so the fact that they didn't address that, like, okay, they didn't address third base. I'm not going to get to that. But you could have at least addressed the backup catcher spot, gotten like a true veteran there, or just kept Narvaez. And I would feel a lot more comfortable about Wells and Narvaez and having a battle between him and Rice and Escara and Jackson. I think that would be a lot more logical. But
and then further to that point, what was the rush to trade him even before spring training?
I have no idea.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because, like, why are they? Surely this was the plan all along with Austin Wells. Clearly didn't make that plan on a whim. They clearly didn't have much of a plan to use Austin Wells in the first opening weeks of spring training. Why did they leave themselves short at catcher in that case? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this was their plan all along to go with someone who was an Uber driver last year, and Ben Rice, who's a first baseman, and who they didn't even want to catch at all last year. That was your idea as catcher? It just, like, I don't understand. Like, these are the kind of things that I'd love to really, like, ask questions about, and I'd want our media to ask more questions about. Like, if that was your plan all along to sit Austin Wells because of, and we don't even really know why, by the way. We're guessing it's because of the workload, but we're not entirely sure, because he's not picked up a bat at all. So, which is very weird. It's kind of murky. So if that was their plan all along to not have Austin Wells, then why did they make themselves short at catcher by trading away Narvaez when Narvaez can give you major league quality at-bats plus play good defense?
Like,
Narvaez, I thought it was really weird.
Yeah, Narvaez could have been like a Kyle Higashioka type. He's not an everyday catcher, but when he's behind the plate, calling the games, there's still a level of confidence in that position.
Yeah, and John brings up a good point about Escara. He is the better bat. I don't know if the Yankees want to carry 2 lefties at catcher.
Mm-hmm.
because ideally, if Wells is going to sit, they'd probably sit him against a lefty, and you'd get an extra righty bat. That's where Alex Jackson comes in, but it's either Escar or Rice or Jackson as the backup catcher, and two of them are lefties, so I don't know what they're going to do. That's why, again, I don't know why they traded Narvaez, because he's a righty and he's a true backup catcher. Like, that is his ceiling, basically. A guy that could platoon, but mainly as a backup. That might be the move that's like irking me the most. I know not getting a third baseman still bothers me, and the fact that apparently they're out of money, according to John Heyman, but you never address the backup catcher. Now, could something happen in the next few weeks where a guy gets cut? Sure. And the Yankees could, like, they got Trevino late before 2022, so they could potentially make something happen there. It's just, why get rid of a guy that could have easily competed for this backup job? And it probably would have been his to lose. It would have been Rice and Narvaez penciled in as your catchers. It doesn't make sense.
No, and it's, the catching position's been, an issue throughout baseball for a while. But, you don't have the Posadas and the Buster Posies. Those guys are a rare breed. So when you're trying to get a proper catcher behind the plate, you have to really be selective. And I think that the Yankees got over selective because of the catching depth in the system. So I think, that's where, trading Trevino, okay, that was what it was. But I'm with you, Rob. I think the Narvaez move is the one that's going to come back and really haunt the Yankees this year.
I would actually say for me, the move that really irked me the most was actually letting go of John Birdie. It made no sense at the time, and it makes even less sense now. John Birdie steps in, and you're guaranteed some contact and excellent defense at third base, and there wouldn't be this much of an outcry over third base. By the way, John Birdie is actually fit and he's healthy, and he's playing pretty decent so far in spring for the Chicago Cubs. So, I mean, you're telling me that for $3 million we couldn't have just picked up his option? That irked me the most. That just made no sense. Yeah. At worst, you trade him in spring training and get some assets in return.
Yeah.
Just not picking up his option like he's some sort of like bust. Made no sense.
He's not a castaway player. He did have value.
He was their best first baseman in the playoffs last year. Right. He took first base, and like it looked like he had played there the rest of his entire life. It was nuts. Like, to me, that was interesting. I know they wanted to save every penny possible, but like right now you're looking at DJ as your utility guy off the bench if you're going to platoon Cabrera and Peraza. So, I mean, I still think they should go after Iglesias, but now with Madrigal being hurt, the Mets could bring him back. That'd be another third base option. What's we got from Reikia Channel? No offense at third, backup catcher, NDH, Stanton out until July. Ooh, and I certainly hope not. Yankees can't go like this opening day.
I agree. I mean, I don't think he's going to be out until July, but everything else you think is spot on, man. And that's the reason why I've said there's 99 problems and Dominguez ain't one. Dominguez is going to be fine, but the Yankees left themselves short this spring. And it's a shame because I think there's a number of different options he could have gone in, and nothing that would have cost us that much money, and we'd be pretty fine. But I like your idea, man. I would go and get him. I think you're right. I think that's the certainly get him before the Mets can get him. At least he's going to give you a little bit of offense and he can play defense. No.
Yeah.
He's a good bat. I mean, he played like 90-something games, but he hit the crap out of the ball. We know he's a great locker room guy. He made that fucking song. I can't stand it, that Oh My God song, but it seemed to band that entire clubhouse together because they rode that and Grimace and the Hawk Tua girl all the way to an NLCS appearance. So sometimes little quirky things like that can get a team rallied around each other. He's familiar with New York. He likes New York. He's a good player. I'd bring him in. I'd feel a lot more comfortable with Oswaldo as the everyday or as the utility guy that can play everywhere, and Iglesias mixing it up with Peraza over at third.
I can live with that.
Yeah, he's a good defender too. He's a plus defender at third, and there is some news about Stanton that came out. I didn't even know about this. Stanton is due to meet with Chris Ahmad, Dr. Chris Ahmad, later this morning. The visit will likely include new testing and a review of Stanton's treatment options. Surgery would be last line of defense, but he has so far not been seriously considered. That sounds like he's going to miss a lot of time. Every time they say, we're not seriously considering this. Yeah, that came out. I guess it came out yesterday. I did not even see this. But
yeah, I hadn't either. So
he's going to miss time.
Right here because I thought he was just exaggerating, but he said July. He might be right.
Yeah,
we're really now. You have to really. Jesus freaking Christ! Why?
Again, the Yankees knew about this. The Yankees knew about this. This is not our fault. We didn't know. Nobody knew Stanton had bad elbows until he reported to camp. So, oh man, this is just another instance of the Yankees being the Yankees. They had a chance to add one more bat just in case. We said this. How many times did we say this as a channel? What happens if you lose Stanton? Who's your backup plan? And you haven't even had him at all.
LeMahieu.
Yeah, that's your backup plan. DJ, Ben Rice. I hope Pereira can do it. I really do. But the fact that they did not add another bat just in case things went awry with Giancarlo, which they always do every year, as much as I love the guy, I go to bat from every chance I can. Yep. Playoff Big G is real. He gets hurt every single season, and the Yankees have to prepare for that. Brian Cashman himself said it and did not do it this year. You cannot tell me that they thought Goldschmidt and Bellinger would be enough to replace Soto, Torres, and a potential Stanton injury. That's not fair to those two players. So we'll wait and see what happens, of course, but whenever a player has to go back to New York to get further testing, and I got to give a shout out because I didn't see this until LI put it up something on Twitter, so I didn't see that news until I saw his tweet, so shout out to LI. Can't show up in the chat for obvious reasons, but yeah, that's not good news, man. That's not good news.
The offense wasn't good enough with Stanton playing every day. The offense wasn't good enough to compete for a championship with Stanton playing every day. Without him, no chance. None. Zero chance. As constituted. None. What a freaking clown show. And they knew about it, man. They knew about it since the playoffs. That was the one thing that they let slip. Aaron Boone said it. Oh, we've known about it since the playoffs. He had these bad elbows.
Yeah, he played through
Well, if they knew about it, then why didn't they do anything about it?
Right as the season ended.
Didn't know anything about it was us. It was us that we didn't know about it. It's not like it was landed to them on the first day of spring training. They knew about it, and they did nothing. They chose to do nothing again. And I don't understand why nobody asks these tough questions. These are the kind of questions that need to be asked at a fundamental level. If your star player was injured right through and hasn't picked up a bat, why didn't you make sure that there was some backup for him?
All right. And if he can't swing a bat until, let's say he can't start swinging a bat till April. We know when he comes back from injury, he's a slow starter. So it always takes him a few weeks to get going again. So you're looking at the earliest, a June return for Giancarlo Stanton. Do they call up JD Martinez? Do they get him in just to be the DH? Like, what do you do here? Because your options you already had limited options. This is why we kept screaming to go get another bat. This is why I wanted Bregman so badly. After not really wanting him at the start, it's like, okay, I see the flaws here. Go get Bregman. That's at least a near 800 OPS, 20-plus home run bat. Go get Arenado. Now I'm asking for Jose Iglesias and JD Martinez. Like, come on. This is what we complain about when it comes to the front office. Like, yeah, they had a good offseason, but they don't plan for the worst possible scenario sometimes. And now it's staring you in the face. You don't have a real third baseman yet. I hope that Peraza can be that guy. But now you don't have a DH. Is it Ben Rice? Hopefully, if he could show you some power from the left side. Can you bring in another outfielder to give Judge some DH days? Can that be Pereira? Not really, because Pereira can't really play the outfield yet due to his elbow surgery. So you're looking at JD Martinez and Jose Iglesias, and the Yankees are apparently strapped for cash, according to Heyman, after Hal said it's not about the luxury tax. So what is it? Which one is it? Like, how do you not? Again, Arenado is basically begging to be traded. The Cardinals are begging. We're begging to trade him. The Yankees are on his limited list that he's not apparently going to expand, and the Yankees are like, no, we feel like he's declining. Okay, fine. Iglesias hit 337.
Yeah.
He was a great player, but in 90 plus, he was a bench guy. I get it, but 90 plus games, if you can add a 330 bat, do it. They should be on the phone with him right frickin' now, because you can DH Cabrera for all I care. Put him against righties as a DH. And then when he needs to sit against lefties, you can put Pereira or Peraza in the lineup at the same. You can do things. You can mix and match, and you can survive without Stanton if you bring in another bat, and they haven't done it. And if it's DJ LeMahieu, I'm going to rip my freaking eyes out.
It will be, because he's going to go to the Mets. Iglesias is going to go to the Mets.
Especially now with the Madrigal news that we were talking about. Like the Yankees are always a step behind everybody now. Because they're too patient. They want the price to go down. You know, they wait and they wait and they wait until it's too late. And and now look where we are. Yeah, because now another team has an injury where now we're both vying for the same player. Like, they didn't do enough. You know, we were saying all season. The Yankees still need to solidify. Look, the pitching, no concerns whatsoever. The defense is 95% fixed. The lineup, the bats in the lineup, they fell so short. They're asking too much of key guys. They think that everybody they brought in is just gonna have a career year. The odds of that happening are astronomical.
Facts, bro. Facts. A good point. And they all have to. They all have to have massive years at this rate. Massive. Very unfair. Very unfair to put them in that position. And it's a shame. It kind of does them a disservice, because even if Goldschmidt has a better year than last year, and Bellinger has a much better year than last year, and Aaron Judge does this thing, it still probably won't be enough, because there's just not that much depth. And that's why
Jazz is fantastic too.
And that's why I keep saying it. We've got 99 problems, and Dominguez ain't one. So everyone just freaking out because Dominguez has dropped a couple of balls in the outfield are overlooking the bigger problem. The elephant in the room, which is the way that the front office have once again misallocated resources and left this roster short for injuries. So that's the problem. That's what we should be freaking out about on X, not a kid who's 22 learning a position on the fly. Give the kid a break. So that's, we're circling back to the original title, because I really think that the narrative is all wrong here.
Yeah,
leave the kid alone. Let him develop. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's every chance. I don't know if he's going to turn out or not, but that's what we need spring training for it to work out.
Right. So
let's see. I'm giving him to the end of spring training before we can make a real decision here on whether he can play left field or not. Let's do that. But let's be honest. The narrative needs to be on ownership's money allocation and Brian Cashman's money allocation of that money that's allowed to him. Because that, for me, is the reason why the Yankees have some questions. Not just on Dominguez's left field performance. Let's get it right.
And this goes back to like our conversation the other day about the beards and why I didn't care about it. Like, why people are up in an uproar about that. Oh, thank God they're not going to play New York after losses anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. They did not address the needs on this team. It's cool that they're making these changes. I'm glad they can grow beards now. Okay, you don't want to hear a fucking song while you're leaving the stadium? Who cares what song is playing? We should be caring about our best playoff bat, one of our best bats in general, potentially missing a few months now, and the Yankees did not even think to address it when an injury that they knew about for 4 months was staring at them, and they were just like, it'll be okay. We got Paul Goldschmidt and Cody Bellinger, which again is unfair to those players, because like you said, even if Bellinger and Goldschmidt revert to their 2023 self, which would be fantastic, and Judge does his thing and hits 45-plus bombs. And even if Jazz has a 25-plus home run season, that might not be enough because you still have to hope that Volpe's better, that Wells is better, that Dominguez has a solid rookie season, that Peraza and Cabrera can be plus bats in a platoon. There's so much, and that Ben Rice or Pereira or even DJ, whoever the DH is, has good numbers. There's so much that has to go right now that even if those four main guys I just said all have great seasons, it might not be enough.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And the Yankees didn't address it. So keep celebrating that they won't be playing Frank Sinatra, even though they still will because they'll be playing That's Life, but it's the same freaking artist. They're not playing Frank anymore. Yes, they are. So complain about that all you want. You should be mad about the fact that they did not get an extra bat when they knew they just lost a generational player. You replaced him with two good players.
How about the new narrative on X that he isn't generational? Oh, he can't play right field anyway. He was ass in right field. As if you cared about that when he hit 50 or 45 home runs and carried the team to the World Series. Yeah, let's forget about that. Oh, we're great because he doesn't play right field anymore.
We're better defensively. That's it. We're a better defensive team without him, but we're not a better offensive team without him.
By the way, we were very top heavy last year. And there's nothing that indicates it won't be any different this year.
And it won't be as good.
Best case scenario, as you say, is Jazz Chisholm has a great year. Goldschmidt has a great year. He certainly looks better early on. Bellinger has a great year. He certainly looks better early on. Aaron Judge has a great year, right? Well, how is that any different than when last year when we had Stanton, Soto, and Judge having great years at the top of the lineup, but then everything else was just kind of mediocre, right? What's going to be different this year? You're asking. It could be very much the same case. So just a little bit weaker. So I'm not quite sure what I don't get it. I don't get the narrative on X. It just seems like coping to me is what it seems like.
It's like it's latching on for anything positive. Any change that's in the fans' favor is where we're at right now. Yeah, is it weird hearing, New York after a loss? Yeah, but is that gonna change my mood? For the fact they lost the game because it's a different song now. These are some of the narratives I don't understand. And everybody is, they're championing the wrong things. It's not about beards and songs, the contract extension for somebody that hasn't even freaking earned it yet. Meanwhile, the issues that can give them the roster to want us to get him an extension, they haven't fully addressed at all.
Okay, this is an interesting comment. We do like a debate here. What move would you like? The free agent class sucked. I disagree. We expected G to get hurt. Yankees aren't going to mention G got hurt. It would hinder us in trade talks and free agent signings. Well, if that was the case, why didn't they do anything without mentioning the fact that Stanton was hurt? They could still have made those moves. Free agent class didn't necessarily suck. Does Christian Walker suck?
Nope. Willie Adames?
Does Pete Alonso suck?
Nope.
Soto?
No.
This is something that we said several times. You could have done a serious upgrade. Again, I don't hate Paul Goldschmidt, but if they had gotten
Hernandez suck?
No. And you could have gone with Goldschmidt. You can go with Walker or Alonso to get the offense, and then you could have went in-house for third, and you would have a lot more offense to replace the loss of Stanton.
Does Alex Bregman suck?
No, Bregman does not.
He certainly didn't look like he sucked last night when he hit a bomb right over the freaking fence in right field.
And they're going to do that a lot. He's going to do that a lot in Fenway. That's why I thought the Yankees should have swooped in. They could have been on Adames to move to third base potentially. There were options out there, and there were still trade options. They could have went after Arenado, who's I know he's declining, and it's Donaldson 2.0. He would have been our third best hitter last year. So let's just call it what it is. The options were out there, Mike, and I get what you're saying. The options now are very, very limited, but even a Paul DeJong would have been a lot better than what we are currently potentially trotting out there.
Heck, even Brandon Rogers, man. He signed in a minor league deal, and he had 15 bombs. I don't like him as a player, don't get me wrong, but 260 batting average and 15 bombs, at least as another option on a minor league deal. It's not the worst thing in the world, but there were some better options. What about Turner? Turner signed just the other day. He would have given you some proper pop with DH.
That's why it does make sense with this news with Stanton. If they're able to get Martinez, I think that would be a move to go for.
But that would be a telltale sign that he's down. Like if they get Martinez, then Stanton's done for the season, because Martinez can't play the outfield.
No.
So you'd have 2 DHs when Stanton does come back, if he comes back. That's why if you're gonna go add a bat, it's got to be someone that can play third and mix around. That's where Iglesias comes into play. That's where you get Arenado, you can then mix around Cabrera and Peraza's bat to keep them in the lineup. Like you can put Cabrera at first and DH Goldschmidt, or you can put Bellinger at first and put like Pereira in the outfield when he's ready. Things like that. You can mix and match if you get a guy that can play multiple positions. So, I mean, if Stanton's done for the year, then go get JD Martinez.
So the smarter move seems to be let's wait and see what Pereira's going to be with the bat, while he's, and hopefully he gives you enough pop to to justify keeping him on the major league roster, and Iglesias as your DH third base option.
Oh, the smarter move is just to wait and see what the news is on Stanton, and then make a decision.
We're getting a little crazy now. I am anyway.
But
I do agree, Iglesias would be a really good option. I think that's the one you move. But I'm telling you what, the Mets are going to be moving fast to get him after the Madrigal.
Yeah, and now they have an injury to Minaya, who's going to miss some time. So maybe they're dipping into the starting pitching market. Take Marcus Stroman. I don't know what's going to happen there, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully we have some more news on Wednesday to give you about Big G. And hopefully some more conversations spark up in spring training. We got a game today. We'll see how that goes for the likes of guys like Arias and Jones, Cabrera, whatever other spring headlines may show up. We'll see who grows a beard in the next couple of days. But we will be back on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. to talk about it all. We hope to see you all in the chat. A big thank you to everybody that was with us. The usual suspects. John, good to see you popping in here towards the end of the show. And, Tats, why don't you break us down like you always do?
All right. Just remember to hit that sub button, hit that like button, share this out, your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. This is the Pinstripe Chronicles. We appreciate everybody spending their morning with us. So remember, wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.